The Philadelphia Phillies take on the New York Mets, two NL East teams that kind of have high expectations placed on them by the fans that are both kind of reeling at the end of this season. Ranger Suarez, 4.29 ERA, 131 strikeouts in 172 innings. Not bad for a guy who is mainly pegged as a back of the rotation piece, so not a bad season from him given kind of what his outlook is on his career. Amed Rosario here would start things off for the Mets with a single to lead off the game to Suarez. Bit of trouble here right off the bat, and then the next batter, Nimmo, comes up and he walks him on a low fastball. So Suarez not really able to locate so far this game. Now looking at the Mets lineup, nothing really out of the ordinary here. You could definitely expect them to throw this out there in real life, except Pete Alonso is having the day off with Dominic Smith starting at first base. And speaking of Smith, he is popping out in the first inning to kind of kill this first inning Mets rally. Now Marcus Stroman on the hill for the Mets. They of course acquired him from the Blue Jays last season. ERA just under 4, 166 strikeouts, 185 innings. Not too shabby from him this year. Now take a look at the Phillies lineup, which is basically just the everyday lineup we roll out in this series. Now J.T. Realmuto, he's up in the first inning, 2 outs, and he is walking. So Stroman allowing a runner to get on the first, but not really allowing much more than that. Wilson Ramos here singles in the top of the second inning, so Suarez kind of again allowing the Mets to get some hits off of him, but they're not really doing any damage off of him. And Cano again, he gets a slow roller, kind of maybe string things together here in the second inning, but Suarez allowing a lot of hits and early Mets base runners in this one. Now here Rosario hitting one, but Kingery has that. A rangy second baseman has no problem making that play. Now Segura leading things off in the bottom of the second here. He walks on a very questionable call. It looked like a strike. Stroman not happy about that one. And then Adam Hazley also walking. So two very questionable calls with 2 outs in the inning, mind you. And then Stroman again walks Suarez. So walks his opposite number. Really reeling after those two very close pitches that were called balls, and now that would bring Bryce Harper up to the plate after Marcus Stroman walks Ranger Suarez, and Harper takes advantage of that one, hitting it off the right center wall, and that is going to let the runners run around and score 2. So Harper, a 2 RBI double here in the bottom of the second, in an inning where maybe he really shouldn't have gotten the chance to bat, and then the Phillies just pouring it on here more with McCutchen lining one out the center field. 2 runners score on that, so the Phillies leading pretty early with a 4-0 lead, and then Realmuto hits one deep to left field. That's a no-doubter. So Stroman, those walks really killed him. Those, of course, 2 borderline calls, and then him kind of just losing it all together and walking Ranger Suarez. So the Phillies take advantage of that, and that would be the end of Marcus Stroman's day. Doesn't even get through 2 innings of work. And I mean, that was just an awful second inning, about as bad as you could imagine. And they would call on Pedro Payano to come on, who has not been particularly good so far for them this season. Been allowing a lot of hits to pretty much anyone who's come up to the plate, but he has no problem here. Strikeout Hoskins, who's late on the up and in fastball. Now Michael Conforto up with 2 outs in the third here, so anyone, Kingery has no problem. So Suarez is kind of settling down a little bit here as we get further into this game. Segura leading off the bottom of the third, and he's on base again. That time a single right there for Segura, so he is having a pretty good game for the Phillies so far. As I mean, we've already kind of blown this one a little open. And then Adam Hazley, no favorable call that time. He strikes out looking on that pitch. Robinson Cano now up with a runner on, so Suarez kind of getting into a little trouble here in the top of the fourth. He's got 2 runners on with 2 outs, but the pitcher Pedro Payano would come up, and Alec Baum would make a very nice play, running in on this one and throwing Payano out at first base. So Baum, not known for his glove, making a pretty good play right there at third base. Now Amed Rosario up, and he's hitting one out to Harper there, easy fly out, and then Brendan Nimmo as well hitting an easy fly out. So Suarez kind of settling in here after allowing a lot of hard hit balls in the beginning of the game, and Kingery here just moving on to the Phillies offense, not getting anything to do there. Payano's really stifling the Phillies as he's still in there in the 5th inning. And now Dominic Smith here striking out. Not a good day for him at the plate at all. And then here, Wilson Ramos, he's hitting one out. So kind of a mix of a lot of batted balls for Suarez today, allowing a lot of hard contact, a lot of soft contact. Not really getting many swings and misses, but Payano, he was getting swings and misses, getting Hayes with a strikeout there and a high fastball. He had a great game for the Mets coming in. And then here, Robinson Cano up at the plate. He's already 2 for 2 on the day, and he's about to make it 3 for 3. Second baseman really killing the Phillies, of course. Early in the series, Tony Kemp, he will hit for the cycle against the Phillies. And then Robinson Cano here, he is also having a great game, getting a hit in every single at-bat to this point. So second baseman really killing the Phillies. And Cespedes pinch hits for the Mets, and we would make a change of our own with Victor Arano, our hard-throwing righty, who had kind of had mixed results this season, but still a great strikeout guy. But no strikeout here. Cespedes hits that one out to right center. I thought that was a pretty good pitch, a kind of lone way fastball, but he just went with it, took it the opposite way, and puts the Mets on the board. So they've got 2 runs now, and Arano allows the very first batter that he faces to hit a home run. Now here's Rosario, and Arano does get him to go down on strikes right there, so hopefully bouncing back. And then Nimmo up next, and he's getting him on the strikeout there. He's just looking on that inside fastball. And then we would turn to Jose Alvarez, our lefty out of the pen, who cannot get lefties out for some reason, but Adam Morgan was not really available today. He was kind of hurt, not kind of hurt, but he was tired, so I didn't want to go with him, at least right away in this game if we didn't have to. And Arano would allow a hit to a lefty there, which he's been doing all year. A lefty reliever is definitely a need in the future, in addition to Morgan, because Alvarez, for some reason, just cannot get lefties out, at least this year. Now, Michael Conforto, he's up, another lefty that really doesn't particularly hit lefties well at all. And he gets a run home here for the Mets, so they have 3 now, but he would get thrown out at second to end the inning for them. Then Paul Sewald, he would come in, take over for Payano. Sewald, pretty decent, high walk, high strikeout guy, so kind of mixed results there. But Rosario, the Mets shortstop, who's pretty questionable defensively, can't make the play, even with the slow-footed Hoskins running to first. And then Alec Baum will come up later in the inning, and he would hit one. A little flare into right center there. So 2 runners on. Sewald kind of in trouble this inning a little bit. But then Kingery would come up, and he would just be looking. So Mets, another strikeout there. They've pretty much been striking batters out all day compared to after Stroman, really. And then Dominic Smith here, he is grounding out. We really had his number all day. Alvarez finally gets a lefty out there. And then Dominguez, we would bring him in the 8th after Alvarez would get Smith out right there. So Dominguez coming in, one of our best relievers, hard-throwing righty, out of the bullpen. Now with 2 outs, he would be facing Wilson Ramos, and he would hit this ball kind of in the right center. Really tough in-between play. We'd have Kingery's a guy who's pretty rangy as a fielder, but could not make the play right there. So Dominguez a little bit of trouble here after getting 2 consecutive outs. And then in a little bit of more trouble now as Cano completes his 4 for 4 day. Just killing, again, second baseman killing the Phillies as, of course, not particularly good second baseman, but it's a kind of a random thing. Now Pete Alonso, who was getting the day off originally, would be called upon in the 8th to pinch hit, and he would get on for them, would not bring a runner home, but still would come up with a big single there for the Mets. Now bases loaded, 2 outs, Rosario back up at the plate, and he would just be softly grounding one to Alec Baum, who would have no problem making this play. So the Phillies get out of that jam there. Now Harper, 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Justin Wilson, the lefty, on to face him. Harper hits it pretty well to right, but dies out at the track, so no insurance runs for the Phillies as they head into the 9th, where Hector Neris comes on. Hector Neris basically just coming in here because I like his pretty much the stuff that splitter is effective both against righties and lefties, no matter of matchup. But he gets kind of in trouble here, walking Nimmo to lead off the 9th, so not a great start from him. But he would hit this, allow a ground ball there to kind of second, but too slow to turn 2 right there. But then here, again, another hit for the Mets. Alec Baum does a good job of knocking it down though. and kind of not allowing that one to get into the outfield. Now Dominic Smith, who has of course not been good for the Mets all day, he hits one. Kingery's right at the bag and has no problem turning 2-2. So the Phillies get a 3-run kind of win there. Pretty nice day. Rangers Suarez, kind of mixed results there. A lot of contact, but got pretty lucky. The Mets actually had more hits than us, I think, even though we ended up scoring 3 more runs. So of course we kind of strung them together and take advantage of walks in that second inning. But that is going to do it for this episode. Do not forget to like and subscribe and show your support of this content. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next episode.